or health there is play, and I hope you have a good day. Today we will talk about a movie called by Sperling in the Peculiar Children of the year 2016 of the genre of fantasy and adventure. At the beginning of the movie we see a teenager named Jake who works in a store groceries and gets a call from his father and asks him to go to his grandfather and Eve, a patient with dementia, and he needs to be attended to at all times. Co-worker offers to carry it. The guy gave me chills. When he gets home he sees that his grandfather has missing Jake and his partner from work. Looking for it after a while finds him on the ground, and apparently he is missing both eyeballs. Before that Jake can react, grabs him from shakes your hand and asks you to return to 3 September 1943 using a postcard from suddenly and stop talking and breathe for last time. Jack freezes on that moment. He realizes a huge monster in the dark. The monster disappears when his partner shoots accidentally in his direction, though Jake believes his last words. It was just gibberish. The monster that came from has a big impact on your mental health. Now it's been a month after the death of Arrive Ha started going to therapy. Tells his of him therapist the stories that his grandfather I used to tell him when he was a child. Always spoke of a children's home special somewhere in Kenyan a island off the east coast of Wales. House was in charge of a lady, strict but affectionate, call more Pilgrim, who could become a bird. Lived children with qualities, the only ones who did not fit the society, like Bronwyn and Victor, who they had superhuman strength. Bees live inside it, and Emma that he could float, and believed his stories for years until he talked about them in a class presentation. High school and your classmates, they made fun of him for believing ideas so absurd, so Jake angrily accused of lying, and from that day forward he never mentioned the children at home, not anymore. I want to talk about the therapist. Thinks that since he is having difficulties separating fantasies of E and P, the reality for that reason to the and not to the freak. That day later when Jake returned home, his aunt gives him a book that she found among the belongings there. Inside the book there is a postcard. Has the name of my Berwin written and the children's home address. Jake is shown by his therapist. In the next session she suggests I visit the place so that the Lacey can have a proper close the next day. That his father both leave for Wales. They finally reach the city and they check into an old hotel. Jake goes to the children's home and finds it completely destroyed. When he returns, a man tells him that in 1943 his neighbor she landed at the children's home and she destroyed it by killing everyone who they were inside the next day already, and go back to the house and look around, when suddenly a girl appears in front of him. Startled, begins to run. He falls and is unconscious. When regains consciousness is carried by Bronwyn of the story of his grandfather who has superhuman strength, sees others characters from the story in front of him already. That he is surprised but delighted. See that the stories are true, and the girl who can float says, "Hey, what? Wait for me." Green sent them to bring it. They take the loop into a cave. But Jack gets nervous and comes back, running to his hotel. There he is, with several unknown faces. They ask who is it. Turns out that after entering the cave traveled back in time to September 3, 1943. The people of the hotel thinks he is a spy being away, about to kill him when the children of before they save them they take him to the home of kids where he finally meets Mr. Wing inside a girl called Olive is boiling tea with her hands, which shows that she can create fire. With them my pilgrim reveals that the boy's place was established for recover and care for people born with unique qualities called peculiar. Such unique qualities are acquired through recessive genes, can manifest in any generation. Children's homes like this are spread all over the world to protect the peculiar people. Normal all households are in charge of a race of peculiar called prince, can freeze time and repeat it and also transform into birds. The people of the children's home ha been reliving September 3, 1943 for as long as he can remember and used to live in that place when he was little, and the children he knew before were friends of his grandfather. How they have lived in a loop. They haven't aged. Jake, he is surprised by the revelation. He question wait for me Glyn Kohler the power of his grandfather, but she fires him and he meets a peculiar named Knox whose ability is that he can make the dead people and objects inanimate come to life as his puppet. In dinner it is revealed that he left the home of children to join the army, and also they found out that he decided to get married and discovers that Emma used to be in love of him and was very sad when he left. After that everyone sits down, watch a movie. A peculiar call ours can project the dreams of him on the wall, and you can also dream of the future, but the film stops after that. They see a time when Jake, he is about to kiss Emma. Mr. Wind encourages him to stay, given that what you will see be amazing. All invite Jay that to see the restart. They go out to sea to danger and reset the time to being able to continue living in the same place over and over, as he watches with amazement as the missile hit the house and resets the time to September 3. Again, then he already finds a letter 5 written to Mr. Wing by his grandfather, and a save with the motto take Jack to the cave to get him out of the loop. As they walk, a bird and injured Brind lands in front to them. The bird bruises and returns to the house while he exhales from the loop. When he returns to the hotel, Jake reads the card that he had drawn. On the card his grandfather warns Pilgrim of someone called Baron is close and is looking for them. The next day the father of Jake takes him to a beach to watch birds. There meet an ornithologist called John, the father of Jake, who also he watches birds as a hobby. Upset with John because just like him, he is writing a book, so he knows. Feel indignant and return to the hotel already. That he waits for his father to fall asleep, and he returns to the loop. He asks me I'll wait for him. Wing over mud, but my dog and Green. She's mad at him for meddling. And he doesn't answer his question. It was a letter. Private Jack, and takes it to us with a peculiar called Victor, but Jay is surprised to see the corpse of Victor on a bed afterwards, and does not place a heart into his body and turns it into his puppet, demonstrating his power. When they go for a walk, he also asks about Beard to answer his question to Emma Ward, and there she shows him the wreckage. Jay straw fast because he believes that others are in danger since his shoes are made of lead, and they drag her to the bottom of the sea. But she used her power to manipulate the air and makes the chamber free of water, then hands him a box and states that belonged to his grandfather. In the inside there is a map of each loop of the world and images of some peculiar. One of them is Baron, the leader of a group of peculiar evildoers called Hollows. She tells him that her grandfather left of the loop to marry the gaps, look for the peculiar children and kill them alone, but the Green knows what his true motive also reveals that just a quirk between a loop of time Jake doesn't want to accept it, but he is also a peculiar, only that by now he doesn't know what his quirk is. Then Emma has a career, but the Green kill a monster similar to that. Saw Jake when he died. Gay Emma says that no one else Gay and Jake can see the monster even but the Green is using his manipulation skills of time to kill him, since she didn't. She can see. It turns out that quirk Jake's is to be able to see these invisible monsters, and the monster that Peregrine killed is something I always know. Always repeat at the same time. Always in the same place. She has to kill that monster now. When they return to the children's home, but the Green tells her that she always knew she was quirky, but her grandfather wanted her to. She lived a normal childhood, planned tell him everything when she turned 18. Years later you tell him about the gaps and its origin. The holes were peculiar. Normal who were tired of living in loops. They were scientists. Prominent, and believed that harnessing the essence of the powers of sowing the would make immortals, and they could live outside of the loops without aging. Then they kidnapped Bring and they did an experiment. However, experiment failed and turned the holes in invisible monsters too. Returned to his human form while Ron soon. She discovered that she had to feed on the eyes of the peculiar, so the hollows began to kidnap children. Peculiar for their brown eyes, and some of his friends regained their form human if they consumed enough eyes. But their eyes remained on white color. Some monsters still look for the children's eyes too. Feeding attacks have stepped up, and Baron plans to help the friends of him to find more boys. Peculiar when he finishes telling the story, Ms. Abused recovers the knowledge she is the one in Winme she had found in the cave before. My Abused tells them that the children's home, of which she was a caretaker, she has been completely destroyed by monsters, unfortunately killed all her boys to ogle her eyes. She says that she tried to save them, but there were too many holes, and not even knows how Baron escaped. Plans to return to perform the experiment, this time using simpler. The next target of hers is the Pilgrim Boy's place. Jack says someone killed some sheep a few years ago. Days when he arrived at the hotel. Have you seen someone with white eyes? My dog is green. Understands that the gaps must go close, and upon hearing this he asks quickly to the children to pack all they can. She says they'll leave from the island the next day on the first Miss Ferry, but the Green will have to look for a new house elsewhere, and so watch the loop so they can be safer. Jake tells Emma that when the loop there is closure, she will not be able to return to her time of more work, because she only cares for him. He is the only one who sees the hollow and are currently in serious danger. But no matter what you say to Aga, Jake is not ready and decides to come back to the island, leaving the loop. When he arrives at the beach, he sees a crowd gathered around a corpse. His father and the ornithologist are there too. Jake say he realizes that his eyes have been removed the corpse and runs to the cave to warn my dogs. When the ornithologist he asks his dad if his son is well, he tells her no, that he has mental problems. The ornithologist says don't worry, he runs 5 kilometers newspapers, and promises to bring his son following him into the cave behind. Jane and Jake understand that he is a peculiar, and what he feared most is revealed to him. Ornithologist is actually a male who has been using his switching skills in a way to disguise himself. He reveals that he also disguised himself as the therapist of Jake to take Jack to the island and find the location of the loop. A through him, since he knew that my pilgrim would find him and show him his time loop. He speaks ill of him grandfather, and he makes fun of the day of his death. Jake gets mad, but Baron threatens the boy with a knife and forces him to take him to the children's home. Peculiar also tells him that his friends, they're coming and he won't want to be present when they wait for me upstairs. Surprised to see Baron at his door. Let's say dead, and he offers to go with Grass if he leaves the children out of this. After the two of them leave, my abuse DJs close all the doors and windows of the house and go for the gun. Miss, but someone suddenly invisible monster attacks Miss Abuse when Jake is not around, but Jake hurts him right after. Then everyone, they run to the attic and escape through the tree branch, as Pilgrim is there to restart the loop. The day changes the so and the Nazi missile falls on the house. Luckily everyone is safe. They plan to go to another loop where is conducting the experiment with but the Ring and the other 100 get on a boat and continue the journey using the map of. And finally, Jake and Emma arrive at a carnival. Enter the ship that will take them from back to 2016. See Baron, his friends and some monsters inside. Jack uses Emma to provoke Baron by making send the monsters and two of their men out to finish off the others. But they had already planned a way to defeat them by throwing snow at those holes, revealing the shape of the monsters meanwhile, and does not convert to a bunch of skeletons in their puppets and sends them to fight. The children go towards Baron, and his friends fight and defeat everyone except Baron. Jake level to the always included admin. I wait for Ring, but they can't help Jake. Why are they hurt? Soon Mud of Jack come face to face when suddenly Baron transforms into Jake. I imagine that they enter and do not know what the true they ask with a crossbow, while both try to prove that they are the real Jake. At that time a monster between the room and the globe and informs the two. Mud does not know which it's Jack's quirk, so the monster mistakes Baron for Jake and attacks, takes away his eyes and kills his live. Finally Jake kills the monster and everyone is safe before it close the time loop. Jake says goodbye to the children when they leave and return to their ship in 1943. While he stays in 2016, Beijing travels to his house in Florida to see that still he is alive. It turns out that the death of Baron in early 2016 with him presence in Florida, and therefore the death of his grandfather, and the one who is delighted and tells everything he has passed and asks him to return to Emma while she is waiting for him. Jake follow his advice and travel the world, going into many loops to search for Eba, and the others finally find them on the boat still traveling. James he tells Emma that he loves her, and the two they finally kiss. The movie ends when I wait and green flies over him boat looking at them. I hope you liked it, this peculiar story, if it was like that, and remember that you can support the channel leaving your like, subscribing and activating the bell. Don't forget, comment below your favorite part. Has you spoken? Yes, play on. But well, until the next, bye bye.